Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into an absolute behemoth of European naval engineering that is currently sending shockwaves through the global defense community and definitely making massive ripples across the Indo-Pacific. When you think of a naval superpower capable of building and operating nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, the United States is probably the first country that comes to mind. But did you know that outside of the US, France is actually the only other country in the world that currently operates a nuclear-powered carrier? That would be the Charles de Gaulle. However, having served since 2001, she is slowly approaching the twilight of her service life. This has forced Paris to look to the future, paving the way for a massive undertaking known as the PANG project. If we're pronouncing it in the original French, it stands for Porte-Avions de Nouvelle Génération, which translates simply to Next Generation Aircraft Carrier. But make no mistake, this project is far more than just a standard one-for-one replacement. This is about building a brand new nuclear-powered monster that will completely redefine European power projection for decades to come. And the most exciting part? We just got a massive update in March 2026. French President Emmanuel Macron officially announced the name of this new supercarrier, the France Libre, which translates to Free France. It's a direct homage to the French resistance during World War II, a name that is incredibly powerful and carries some very deep political undertones. So let's look a little deeper into the geopolitical context. Why is France biting the bullet and pouring billions of dollars into building the France Libre? The shortest, most comprehensive answer is strategic autonomy. You guys might remember the shocking geopolitical drama back in 2021 when Australia abruptly tore up a multi-billion-dollar diesel-electric submarine contract with France. That happened because of the sudden birth of AUKUS, a trilateral security partnership between the US, the UK, and Australia. Behind closed doors, the US and the UK offered Australia nuclear-powered submarine technology instead, leading Australia to immediately dump the French deal. From the French perspective, they were completely blindsided and stabbed in the back by their own allies. That incident caused a massive diplomatic rift and served as an expensive wake-up call for Paris. It taught them that in the game of global politics, they cannot permanently rely on the United States or their Anglo-Saxon allies. France needs to stand on its own 2 feet. More importantly, France has overseas territories like New Caledonia and French Polynesia located right in the heart of the Pacific Ocean. Having a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier with unlimited range allows France to deploy a strike group to protect its interests and confidently project power in a highly contested region, standing toe-to-toe with both China and the US. When we talk about the sheer scale of the France Libre, I have to tell you it is a staggering leap forward from the Charles de Gaulle. The current carrier has a displacement of around 42,000 tons, which is considered a medium to small carrier. But for the new France Libre, they are scaling it all the way up to 80,000 tons. That is almost double the weight. The hull length sits at 310 meters, which is roughly the length of the Empire State Building laid flat on the water. This massive scale is actually forcing the French Navy to expand their primary naval base in Toulon, including the construction of entirely new dry docks just to accommodate her. Also, if you look closely at the design, it features a single island superstructure pushed way toward the aft of the ship. This specific layout maximizes the forward deck space and significantly reduces air turbulence over the flight deck, making aircraft launches and recoveries much safer and more efficient. The beating heart driving all of this is, of course, nuclear power. This is the ultimate pride of French engineering. The France Libre will be equipped with 2 state-of-the-art pressurized water reactors, developed domestically by the French company Technique Atom. These K-22 reactors can each generate up to 220 megawatts of thermal power. When you combine the two, you get a staggering 440 megawatts. To put that into perspective, that is easily enough power to light up a mid-sized city. And even more impressively, the K-22 technology is designed to operate for up to 10 years on a single nuclear refueling. This means the ship can stay deployed in deep waters around the globe for years at a time. Literally, the only constraints forcing this ship back to port will be food supplies and the psychological endurance of the crew. So, what exactly are they doing with 440 megawatts of power, besides turning the massive propellers to push the ship through the waves at a top speed of 27 knots? It's designed to feed electricity to advanced computer systems, high-performance radar sensors, and future-proof the ship for next-generation systems like directed energy laser weapons, which require massive electrical spikes to fire. But right now, the biggest power draw on the ship will be the aircraft launch system. And when we talk about the launch system, there's a bit of political irony here. Like I mentioned earlier, France is pushing hard for strategic autonomy, but in reality, for the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS, and the advanced arresting gear, France still has to rely on the US and buy them from General Atomics. This is the exact same system used on the US Navy's Gerald F. Ford-class carriers. Instead of using traditional steam pressure, EMALS uses linear induction motors to generate a massive electromagnetic field that propels the aircraft forward. The massive advantage here is that you can precisely calibrate the launch force based on the specific weight of each aircraft. This provides a much smoother acceleration, putting way less stress on the airframes, and allows for a much faster reload time compared to steam catapults. The France Libre will feature 3 EMALS tracks, allowing it to continuously launch fighter jets every 30 seconds. Now let's talk about the ship's teeth, the carrier wing. This is where French engineers really had to look decades into the future. That massive 17,200 square meter flight deck wasn't just built for the current Dassault Rafale M fighters. It was specifically designed to accommodate the 6th generation fighter program, known as FCAS, or the Next Generation Fighter, which will be significantly larger and heavier than the Rafale. You have to understand that 6th generation warfare isn't about traditional fighter jet dogfights anymore. It's all about the combat cloud concept. The next-gen fighter won't be flying solo. It will act as an airborne command center controlling swarms of drones known as remote carriers. These drones will fly out ahead to act as advanced sensors, decoys, and even weapons platforms. All of that data will be beamed back to the Combat Information Center on the France Libre in real time. This essentially makes the ship not just a floating runway, but a mobile supercomputer and massive server farm sitting out in the ocean. Beyond its offensive strike capabilities, the self-defense systems on the France Libre are equally impressive. While carriers always travel with an escort strike group, the ship itself will be armed with the PAMS air defense system. This includes vertical launch systems for Aster 15 and Aster 30 interceptor missiles, which are highly capable of shooting down incoming supersonic anti-ship missiles. It will also feature robust electronic warfare suites designed to effectively jam and disrupt enemy radars and targeting systems. One highly overlooked aspect of this project is the crew. Historically, American aircraft carriers have required a massive crew of 4,000 to 5,000 sailors, but thanks to high-level automation, the gigantic France Libre will only require about 2,000 personnel, and that includes the entire aviation detachment. Having a smaller crew means a massive increase in usable interior space. Engineers have designed better living quarters, relaxation zones, and improved amenities to boost the crew's quality of life. This reduces the immense stress of long deployments, which is a critical factor in maintaining the psychological readiness of modern sailors. Let's look at the latest updates for 2026. The Pang project has officially entered its active manufacturing phase. Following the official timeline, Naval Group and Chantiers de l'Atlantique cut the very first steel for the nuclear reactor shielding late last year. This sent a very clear signal that this project is no longer just a paper concept. The main hull structure will be assembled between 2031 and 2032, with actual sea trials scheduled for 2036. The carrier will be fully commissioned into the French Navy in 2038. Naturally, specs this impressive immediately bring up the million-dollar, or rather billion-dollar question. How much does this Leviathan actually cost? To give you a clear overview of the specs and the project's value, I've broken down all the technical data into the table. Let's take a look. As you can see from the table, the budget numbers are absolutely astronomical. It's estimated that the total value of this project will soar to roughly $11.6 billion. This specific figure has actually sparked quite a bit of debate within the French Parliament. Many are asking if this is an overreach. In an era where modern warfare relies so heavily on long-range missiles and unmanned drones, why pour billions of dollars into a single massive floating target? However, from the perspective of the French Ministry of Armed Forces, this money is a necessary investment to preserve high-level nuclear and maritime engineering expertise. This project will create over 14,000 jobs within the defense industry and guarantees that France will have the ultimate tool to protect its national interests on the global stage, all the way through the 2080s. For me, the France Libre project is the ultimate engineering masterpiece. It reflects intense national ambition and serious preparation for future global threats. It proves that the massive supercarrier is still the ultimate symbol of naval supremacy. But what do you guys think? Is France's decision to spend nearly $12 billion on this supercarrier worth the investment? And if she really does deploy to patrol the Indo-Pacific, how much will that shift the balance of power in our region? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into modern defense tech, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video.